the treble, the dream come true for you?
Oh, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Football, bloody hell. But they never give in. And that's the winner.
Welcome to the American Red Devils podcast. I'm John.
I'm Alex.
And we're bringing you the best Manchester United news from this side of the pond.
Woo, sir. How we doing? What'd you expect? Back-to-back wins? Come on. This is Manchester United. This is 2023, and this is the last game of 2023. Manchester United lay a stinker at the City Ground. They lose 2-1 to Frisky Forest, 15th place Forest, or wherever they were. You know what happened. Not good enough. Manchester United dropped another big 3 points after a great comeback win against Villa earlier in the week, and rudderless ship at the moment. You know, a lot of players out, but either way, the team's a mess. Tactical changes, what they make, are they making sense or not making sense? I mean, fucking hell, Palace had 2 shots on goal and they got 2 goals. That's also has questions to be asked. The defensive side of this team leaves a lot to be desired. I don't even know what to say, sir. How are we feeling?
I wouldn't even let them on the bus after the match. I get a taxi back to Manchester.
Some of the passing is fucking scratchy.
It's not Manchester United. You know, they're wearing the shirt. City Ground. Look, credit to the Nottingham Forest fans. They kept it lively at the City Ground. I was impressed. Not many home grounds come through on TV, especially in sort of a meh first half, but they were ready to go in the second. And United, just not good enough. It's the same thing. Look, Aston Villa, I highlighted a few items. Apologies for the voice. At Aston Villa, I highlighted, hey, we're still wide open. You saw the chances that we gave Villa, a few cutbacks right after we scored. Those were there today. 2 of the exact same goals. We have more of the ball in their third. We can't create clear-cut scoring chances. A little selfish on the right wing with Anthony doing nothing. The link-up play isn't there. The one touch isn't crisp. The midfield is wide open. The assignments for the right and left back, they're in no man's land. Anthony out on the left at points today. We were there on the break. The same movie. This is the same football we've been watching all season. It's hero ball when we come back, like against Villa. Eriksen comes back, gives us a little pep in our step. Then the next game, it's back down into the doldrums. Look, this is it's shit football. It is. It's been the whole season. We've been playing the exact same way. No teeth in attack. Midfield's wide open and is scrambling at the back line. It's not good enough. The players aren't playing well. Rashford got his goal today, but is he really looking like a threatening number 9? No. Højlund's sick, but is that the answer? Just too many excuses from this team. I don't like the excuses I'm hearing from the manager. I think there's plenty of blame to go around, but this has been a rough season, and the themes continue. You know, I think overreacting when we win, overreacting when we lose, that's not the problem. It's about looking at what are we doing on the field. And like I said, the numbers don't lie. The stats are the same every game. We're XG, we are not beating our opponent. You look at the field tilt, we have a lot of the ball in their third, and we can't generate chances with it. Something's broken at United, and it needs to be fixed.
It needs to be fixed indeed, because I think you hit a theme that is absolutely true, is that it has been the same story all season. All across the board, every flavor of it, whether it's the injuries, finally getting a little bit of momentum with Højlund. He gets his first EPL goal, and then he's sick, and I think you noticed the drop down because Marcus Rashford is not nearly as effective as a number 9 as he is in the left wing. Same time, United sloppy on the ball, slow, not physical, like we did show at moments in Villa. You have to be willing to fight away against that home crowd. Like you said, they were loud, impressive in the noise that they generated at the City Ground. And then not take your chances, and at the same time, when you get countered on, not running back. There was a lot of Yagen today. I saw a lot of Yagen today across the pitch from the lads in the candy stripes. I don't know about that kid still. And it's just nothing's going right in Manchester United.
But what chances?
Playing what chances for who?
For United. I mean,
we hit
Nottingham
a post,
Forest
we
created more XG. Like every time we played Villa, they create more XG. They're creating more chances. They're creating more X threat. They have the stats on their line. I mean, like every game we play, we are not creating. This is Nottingham Forest. It's a bad team. We're not creating as much as they are. That's insane when you look at the money we spend on the attack that we have up there.
I mean, sure, of course. And Anthony, he's not doing anybody favors, but I'm saying when you have chances, you got to take your chances, right? Like if you look at our goals we scored the third least amount of goals in the entire EPL, in the entire Premier League.
Yeah,
So
but if we produce more XG we weren't finishing,
we're
it would make more
underperforming our
sense.
XG by 8 goals, 8 XG for the season. So I agree, we are being edged, and we're super inconsistent, and we're open at times. That defense giving both of those chances and those goals up is not good enough from a Manchester United team. But don't act like goals is not a major issue for this side. Creating XG, converting XG, both of which are issues for the team. But either way, there's so many messes on this squad at this club that we could talk all day about all the things going wrong, sir. I mean, let's talk about something of promise. Ahmad back in the fold. That was good to see. Kobe, I don't think he should have been pulled at halftime. I think that was one of the big gaffes of the manager that everyone's harping on for obvious reasons. And I'm just trying to find whatever positive life I can for Manchester United because it's tough times right now for all Reds.
Quick PSA for the podcast. If you like the America Red Devils, we are for fans, by fans. No commercial sponsors, no ads on the pod. Just check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/America Red Devils. Number one way to support us. And if you're a Muppet, you got to be a top tier Muppet, sir. You can check it out. Behind the scenes episode every single month. Tons of benefits. Support the pod. Also check out AmericaRedDevils.store. Click on store, buy our merch. That supports us as well. Also like, subscribe. Check out our website, AmericaDevils.com. And drop a review on iTunes or Spotify, wherever you listen.
Absolutely. Write those reviews. It's a great way to support the pod. We're giving away free merch. All you have to do is write a 5-star review. Wherever you listen, send a screenshot to americadevils@gmail.com with your mailing address, and I will personally ship some free ARD gear to your door anywhere in the world. Here's a great 5-star review from Core Reed. Favorite podcast of 2023. I've been a Man United fan for 25 years, but this podcast reignited my love for the team and got me excited to watch football again. Oh, wow. Love hearing Alex and John's take on everything United. Although it's been a rough start to the season, I get excited to listen to the podcast every morning after a win. Guess you won't be listening tomorrow. Keep up the great work, guys. Hopefully there'll be much more great news for you guys to report on in the second half of the season. Go Red Devils. Thank you, Core Reed. Thank you, everybody, writing those 5-star reviews.
That's right. We're getting into it. Nottingham Forest 2, Manchester United 1 at the City Ground. Let's get into that 11. Onana in net. Delo, Evans, Ron, AWB backline. Eriksson, Mainu, Fernandez midfield. Garnacho on the left, Rashford at number 9, and Anthony on the right. What do we make of that 11, sir?
Not a lot of huge surprises. Disappointing to not see Shaw. I mean, Højlund, that was the big bummer for me. I know Rashford up front doesn't look the same player, and then obviously that means you got to bring in Anthony, who's not convincing anybody. So those were my big question marks. Midfield, he stuck with the same one as Villa. I think that was good. That's been better without McTominay, but obviously that only lasted a half. What did you think of the 11 when you saw it?
Look, I don't mind the players that we're putting out there. I just think the mashed potatoes football has to stop. And again, we went with the 2-10s, people wandering around the park, not knowing how to defend in transition, looking like we could give up goals. It's just the same football we've been seeing all season. We're vulnerable against bad sides on the break, and we're not scoring up top. So it just seems to me we keep hitting our head against the wall. First half, like you said, Nottingham Forest were ready to go. Few chances early. They had a tough corner. Big, they were in full voice. I thought we kind of survived that, fought back a little bit, but it was really just mashed potatoes first half.
100%. It was just kind of one of those scrappy, ugly games. United, when they did get the ball, they gave it away. And then I don't think Forrest was trying to push too hard at United in this first half. There weren't even a lot of opportunities of note, like we mentioned. But, what did I say to you? At least we're not losing. At this stage, we weren't losing.
0.04 XG from United in the first half.
No bueno. Like I said, no chances. There's no chances on the board, sir.
Yeah, so with if you're not creating chances, right, you can't score, right? So I think that's ultimately the definition of the XG. You come out without creating anything in the first half as United away against Forest. Obviously, we're not good away. And the manager makes a change. This is a big change, one that's going to be talked about by the fans. He says, you know what? We're not creating enough. I'm going to take my CDM off. I'm going to put McTominay on. What do you make of this move from the manager? We need to win. McTominay taking off our defensive midfielder.
Well, if we need a win, McTominay, I believe, is the top goal scorer for Manchester United in the EPL at the moment. It didn't make sense to me because you want more control, obviously, and if you're pushing forward, you want to have someone at the back who can clean up shop and help bail out Evans and Varane. So I had question marks. I thought this was a strange one. I mean, we did create more in the second half than the first half, to be fair, but I had question marks like everybody else. So what'd you think?
Look, I thought it was, if you want to put Tominay at 10, take off Eriksson, keep Manu there for the stability, because it was 0-0, and it's not like Forest is such a great side where we have to completely give one to get one. I think you control the game, get a bunch of the ball like we did, and just maybe rotate the attack, put a mod on for Anthony. I don't think that was working. Just a little puzzled here that he didn't go like for like and brought in McTominay. And then he did bring in a mod in the 54th minute for Anthony, who was absolutely bluffing there on the right. Tough one. I hate to be wrong about that.
Worst game yet? It might have been the worst game we've seen from Anthony.
Look, I hate to he came in. I saw last season. I was kind of harping on him, but because of the price tag, and then now you just feel bad for the guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 25 games without a goal or an assist, and just looks.
But Ahmad comes on, looks a player. Ahmad comes on, and you're like, okay, there's a winger, right? He's decisive, makes a move, beats him with pace, shoots. Like, that's what you want. Anthony, nobody understands the toe tapping he's doing. It doesn't help his teammates. He passed the ball direct to Forrest.
The corkscrew top just like spinning around. But Ahmad, he has what you want from a winger. He has the speed, willing to take players on, willing to beat a man. Like you said, putting in those first-time shots. You love to see it.
Tolo hit the post in the 55th minute. Great effort. And then, the threat of taking off your CDM, opening the game up, and Nottingham Forest would get their goal in the 64th.
Anthony Elanga, crisply to Montiel, Dominguez, Forest lead. It's the Argentine, Nicolas Dominguez.
We've seen this goal a lot this year, and you look at the runner, you look at where McTominay is. He's playing the CDM role. That's his man, and he gets his goal. So the manager sub impacting the game. United going down, but we would push forward, sir. That wouldn't be all.
No, we weren't dead yet, but like you said, we've conceded that goal multiple times this season, and the like challenge, he's nowhere to be found. McTominay has a lot to do and does nothing, and that was the big issue all day. It was like there wasn't any, the level of effort across the 11 for Manchester United was just not even close to good enough. It's just like going for tackles, tracking back. It looked like a team that really couldn't be fussed.
But we would get a goal, 78th minute.
I mentioned him before, but Niakate, very impressive.
And Turner's given the ball away again with his feet. And here's Rashford, and that is cruel in the extreme on Turner, but it's been threatening to come throughout this game. Goalkeeper's lack of distribution skills punished to the extreme by Marcus Rashford.
The American in net, obviously, you hate to see it.
Making us look good.
USA Soccer's own Matt Turner gives the ball right to Garnacho. And look, this is a horrific error, but Garnacho, hell of a tackle to win the ball. Then he's got two Forest players on him, and then picks a perfect pass to Rashford. Doesn't have to do anything to score, but shout out to Garnacho for the effort to win the ball, and then the vision to play this pass inch perfect to Marcus Rashford's right boot. I mean, that's a lot to do there. Garnacho, huge bright spot for Manchester United.
There you go. There are positives to take out of this shit sandwich that we have been watching week in, week out. Like you said, Turner, not his best performance, gave the ball away a bunch of times. United have not been able to capitalize this season. But Garnacho does very well to win it back. Nice square ball, and shout out to Rashford. That is a good finish, given that, we've been dying for goals this season. So good to see it.
Yeah, but it's like you see two of our goals in our last two games created from just like horrific errors from the opposition. That kind of also doesn't really give you a lot of confidence in our attack going forward when we have to rely on these types of insane giveaways to create these chances. 82nd minute. Look, this is the heartbreaker. Forest pushing, fans behind them. This was an exciting look. When the first goal went in, it got exciting. It was toe to toe, back and forth, but unfortunately, it was United that got caught.
And it is Gibbs White, and Forest are back in the lead. response from Nuno's men.
Look, McTominay's kind of in no man's land defending with the low. Should Varane step up? Someone should sense the danger. But this goal has been scored on us so much in transition. Can't get sorted. Who's defending who? Mashed potatoes. Mashed potatoes. Mashed potatoes.
Beetlejuice.
It's just absolute shit football.
No,
People do not know what they're doing out there. It's a mess. It's disorganized. You got to call it for what it is. It's forced, dude. It's like forced.
Forced get you somewhere. It's not good enough. It's horrible. It's horrible defending. We've seen it all season. Edge of the box. The player is literally like waving for it. He's wide open. You never see a player with that much space on any kind of top side. So it's not even close to good enough. You concede goals like this and have such difficulty scoring goals, creating chances. You're never going to beat anybody. And it's this consistency that is just backbreaking for Manchester United. You know, the two different types of teams. So not anywhere where any Manchester United fan wants to be. And right now, there's just more questions to be asked and answered than anything.
83rd minute, Eriksson forces Turner to a good save. This one probably should have been on. 90th sub, Reguilon for AWB. Not his best. You're a big AWB fan, but
not good today.
Not that great today.
And the effort, most importantly. It's like one thing to have a shit performance.
This team doesn't have it, dude.
No,
it's like they don't got it. It's like 96, Bruno, good shot, saved by Turner. Like that, deflection as well. Turner came good there. He's making up for that error, and that was it, sir. That was it. That was the game.
And that's Manchester United. I hate to say it, folks. You know, this season is a wrap. This manager is a wrap. Half these players, probably more, 70% of these players are a wrap, have to go, and we're a mess. We are an absolute mess at the moment. Ratcliffe has huge work to do, and the guys that he has coming in, they're going to have huge work to do. And the thing that's going to ail this team and this project is we're not going to go deep enough because the rot has been set in for 5 years plus in terms of it getting really bad, in terms of player power. And at this point, it's just like all bets are off. Everything needs to be cleaned out. The whole place is a mess. Old Trafford is literally decomposing. They're talking about it. It's like they've end-of-lifed it. It's effectively like at the end of its useful life. So everywhere you look, other than like the few glimmers of youth budding through the crest shield of shit, everything else is going sideways.
Getting into the stats, 0.93 XG for Nottingham Forest to 0.67 for Manchester United. That, to me, is what's scary. You could lose to Nottingham Forest, having more of the ball, just get hard done by the refs or a pen or something, but to have them create more chances, which they did in the first half. The two best chances went to Forest. We had nothing. We had the ball. We have it in the final third, but we are not shooting it at the goal. We're not passing it or making moves to shoot it at the goal. Like, this has fundamentally been the same thing the entire season, and it has to change. We have to come up with a strategy. We have to work on the training pitch. It's just like our set piece defending. It's like you eventually just have to work on it to the point where you figure it out. The issues are there and they're glaring. Aston Villa, the same story. We won, but it's still, these are the stat lines. Goals, 18th in the league with 21. XG performance, 20th. Shot conversion, 20th. First half goals, 19th in the English Premier League. You think we're having a bad time, sir? That's a relegation bad time. We had 55% of the ball in their house, 5 shots on target to their 2. But when we look at the tactical teardown, you're trying to cut through the noise of the Aston Villa vibes, the noise of the overreaction here at Forest. We had 6 shots inside the penalty box and completed more deep progressive passes than Forest, but we couldn't create any XG. XG would be the final shot, the on target that is going to lead to a goal. We do not have that sharp edge. Like we said
all season, right? We've seen it all season.
The field tilt is in our favor. We have the ball. We're in the final third, and we are not making the pass or the move. Like Anthony is the best example. He's there in the final third, twinkling his toes and not getting it to another United player to get a shot. Like, that is the issue that we have. It is clear as day. I don't know why this is something that we're not improving at or working on. Look, the midfield, we had higher possession stats. We pressed better than them. We had PPDA, passes per defensive action, was 11.8, which is much shorter than what we had on they had on their end. So we're pressing on an average basis, and we just aren't doing anything with it, right? So the manager wants to press high up the pitch. He wants to win the ball. We're getting the ball. We're not able to score. But what happens when you play that way? You're exposed.
Exactly.
So how are we playing bad teams? High up the pitch, pressing, winning the ball, getting it in the final third, not doing anything with it, and then getting broken on and getting scored on. And you would think if you did that 10 games in a row and it was the same result, you'd change it. And that's what I don't understand about this team, is this strategy is not working, and that's all we're doing.
Yeah, and the only time we've seen him deviate from that plan was against Liverpool. And in that match, given the circumstances and who we're playing and where we're playing, it made sense and it worked. All things considered, I think a 0-0 draw in that game was a good result. But we have not shown the ability to kind of take our foot off the gas and not play this balls to the wall type of approach where if it works, you'll score goals. And if it doesn't work, you get fucking scored upon. And then the team that cannot score goals, that's literally in the bottom of the table as it relates to ability to create chances and convert those chances, you're going to be screwed. And that's what we've seen all season. All season's been the same thing. Is like the team's been wasteful, has been inconsistent throughout 90 minutes, and then sleepwalking in defense, open in midfield, kind of all over the place.
But if you're that open, like the default is to play that open, and then you're getting scored on, and you can't score. It's like you got to switch it up. And the thing is, in the Champions League, we were scoring, but then what were we doing? We were conceding. So either we're scoring and then conceding and losing in an epic fashion, or we're not scoring, conceding, and losing. And then eventually you got to be like, hey, maybe my defense can't handle this just like fullbacks bombing forward, no concern, 2 10s in the midfield. Like this is an experiment, a tactical setup that like our manager is putting out there, and it is not working over the long term. Over this season, this is just saying, hey, we need 2 CDMs. Fred, we need McFred back. You literally need like, hey, Johnny Evans can't do this. Like you got to put two holding midfielders, lock it down, and let Twinkle Toes, Garnacho, and Rashford get you goals and win 1-0. Like at a certain point, we're playing for top 4. We're playing for $100 million check with Champions League. We got to get our shit together. And this going to Forest away, playing this style. Nobody plays this style, for the record. It's not like this works anywhere. It does not work in the English Premier League. No one plays this way. And it's like time for us to say, you know what?
Which aspect do they don't play? The high line or the
2 10s? Like, are you kidding me?
Plenty of teams play adventurous. They're just way more compact to the back, and they defend better, and they track back. It's just that, like, if you're going to play this way, if you're going to play this aggressively, you have to be aggressive throughout the pitch.
McTominay, Eriksson, Bruno midfield.
I'm not defending that. That's not a first-string midfield, bro. That's because of injuries. And I'm not defending this side. I'm just saying is like plenty of teams play aggressively. It's just that you need to play aggressively from the front and from the back, on the ball and off the ball. And that is not how we've seen from this team.
You have a midfielder who does the job at CDM. Then you have one who can go forward and go back and does all the work. And then you have 110. That's usually how it's done. So you have a hybrid like De Bruyne who can do it both going forward, going back. We don't have that. It's either Eriksson, Bruno. By the way, Eriksson isn't that guy. Mason Mount should have been that guy. We haven't seen him out there. It's just we're just putting a round peg in a square hole. There's been so many games we played this way, and the results are crazy. We're losing to bad teams. It's like if we got done by Liverpool in this game, I wouldn't care. If it's Forest, we got to remind ourselves this is a relegation-bound Forest.
Yeah, they're not going to be relegated. But yeah, sir, I'm not arguing that this team shouldn't play better. I'm just saying is like, yes, we have big areas that we need to fix. The manager is stubborn as shit. He does not want to back down from his approach. And you know what?
Yes,
that's likely going to cost his job. Because at the end of the day, if you are completely inflexible and unable to change, regardless of the circumstances, and I know he has a mentality and an approach and a philosophy that he wants to stick with, but at the end of the day, it's like you gotta protect the team, you gotta protect the badge, and you gotta protect yourself. And right now, he's doing none of those things because you cannot leave yourself to get the fucking shit kicked out of you by Forest away, who, like I said, they're not going to get relegated, but you should not be getting beat by the 15th best team in the league. Is we have to stop being so sloppy at the back. We have to be more controlled, even if that means that we don't turn the ball over.
We have to set up differently
as much, so we don't get fucking turned on every time that we try to push the ball up the field. So he needs to change, and you know what? Will he change before he gets the sack? We'll see. I doubt it. But you know what? We're in limbo at the moment. He's basically an interim. I mean, at the end of the day, there's new management coming in. They're going to have their own say. They're going to put people in, and then they're going to have favorites. That's what happens whenever you put new management into a new company.
It's just more, regardless of the new owners, it's kind of like, what are we trying to do on the field? It's clear what people say, I don't see a style at play. I see the style of play. I'm telling you what it is. It ain't working in the English Premier League. And it's time that we just switch it to be more defensively sound and hit people on the break. And that's where we've been for the last 7 years. And that's where we need to be.
How's that worked out?
Unfortunately, because it's just this whole like,
you're missing your
open
two
it
best
up.
players, to be fair, too, right? You don't have Martinez, you don't have Casemiro. You can't play this shit
Exactly.
without those two guys to clean up shop.
Exactly. If you have a Casemiro, you could play this way. If you have a Martinez, you could play this way. You know, Liverpool can play a certain way when they have Van Dijk, and they can't when they don't, right?
Fair.
And that's
Well
the
said.
whole point. It's like you look at Declan Rice on Arsenal. He's bailing them out. They're able to put a lot of men forward because they have a world-class CDM who's going to make those plays. We don't have that, so maybe you need to structure it a little differently. And he's just a crazy bald Dutchman who just says, "Hey, fuck it, let's just go for it."
Fuck
and it's
it.
like
That is an approach. That is an approach.
you know, lose to Tottenham. Oh, right. Lose to West Ham. Okay. You lose to the Forest. People start getting a little. You lose to
That's like losing to Bournemouth. We lost to Bournemouth
Sheffield.
this month. bro.
Bournemouth getting cooked by Bournemouth. Like we should have drawn. We should not have lost today. And it's just
No, that's It's the L's. It's the L's that should have been draws, and it's the fucking losses that should have been wins. It's just like everything is going too aggressively, and the guy needs to switch things up, and he needs some of his big players back. And even then, when the big players are back, it's like you have to be flexible because this league is fucking ruthless, bro.
And I agree, players are bluffing, and I'd say, hey, these players are going to bluff. They're not going to be able to play this way.
That too.
Let's lock it down
That
away.
too.
We're shit away. I got tons of injuries. These players are bluffers. Let's play like 4-4-2 and like lock it down and steal the game.
They're not gonna
at
work for you.
Forest. You know, I just need results because it's a results-based business. And look at the table, man. Woo! Manchester United in 7th place behind West Ham. David Moyes, tactical genius, 33 points with the game in hand. Tottenham, 36 game in hand. Arsenal, 40 game in hand. Shitty, 40 game in hand. Villa, 42, tied at the top of the table with the Scouse Bastards, who've played 19 on 42 points. I don't need to tell you about the goal differential. It's -5. Oof.
Only
-5.
team in the top 10 with a negative goal differential.
Look at the goal score. Chelsea 34, Manchester United 22. Sir, just you hate to see it, but there's some good teams at 9th and 10th. Newcastle, Chelsea, Brighton, right behind us. We're talking
The league is
hanging
so
on to the
competitive, bro.
top 10 now.
Oh yeah.
Like we're 3 points away from 10th.
Okay.
At 31,
Brighten up,
it's
sir.
like
it's not that bad.
I'm just-
we've been shit. The season's a fucking write-off. I know.
the point that I'm making is it's so competitive. It is so tight.
It is so competitive.
And I feel like the losses, December was a big month in the wrong direction for Manchester
was.
United, and now we're going to be fighting for the 8ths and the 9ths now. That's kind of where we are going to be. The league's never been more competitive. That's a fair point, but I don't like to see how we're playing, where we are, and where we're going, sir. And on that, let's check in with the madman, the manager, Eric ten Hag.
That's clear. That's disappointing. You're losing 1-0, and you get a comeback. And in that moment, I think we were quite good in the game. And you're waiting for 2-1, and then in a counter moment, we gave a goal away. So it was unnecessary, this loss. Yeah. But I think already we lose the game in the first half. We were not energized enough. We didn't invest enough to create chances.
That's 2 matches now in which you haven't played well in the first half. You played really well in the second half against Aston Villa, not so much in the first half. Again today, a slow start. Forest weren't great either in that first half, but is that a worry?
I thought against Villa we played well in the first half. Only we conceded 2 goals from set plays, so I don't agree with you. But today, I think we should invest more in the first half. In the second half, I was much more lively. I was much more dynamic. We speed up the game. We created chances before the 1-0 from them.
I mean, this like
The Dutch, bro. The Dutch.
it's
Yeah. They're a particular breed.
Look, Eric ten Hag, he had some howler comments today in the press. Not necessarily this one. He said, first half performance was okay. Like he just got defensive about Aston Villa, being like, I don't agree with you. We play well in the first half when we conceded 2 goals. I just don't like the manager kind of playing this tit for tat with the press. I know you're right. It doesn't matter, but I just would prefer him to say, hey, not good enough. We know the expectations of the club. We got to get back to the training ground. Got to work. I feel like the NFL coaches get it. Like, they just know what to say. You give the press nothing. You just be humble and say, it's got to be better. We got to work hard. We shouldn't be beating Forest. We need these 3 points. It's not good enough for the fans. Like, we're getting people back. Like, that's what it's got to be about. It's got to be about looking forward, got to be better. And instead of like arguing whether what shit half was good
or worse,
what shit half was bad, like, that's when you're in that, like, how you're fighting ghosts. Like, you're not focused on, like, you're literally like, you're fighting like the Villa first. You're talking about the Villa first half in the presser. It's like, you got to be focused on, like, hey, we're not good. Got to be better. Absolutely got to be better. And that is, I just would rather hear that from the manager. Give me some more confidence, because what I see on the pitch, what I've seen week in, week out, is just mashed potatoes, and he's not changing it. And you can be bad. You got to change it. You got to be smart enough to watch it and change it. And that's what I disagree with, is that we've been doing the same thing too long.
And there's a way you do it, right? You could be bad. You cannot change it, but you could also, I don't think Erik ten Hag's doing himself any favors. And these pressers are not doing him any favors. Because like you said, the amount of leeway he would get from just eating a little bit more crow and being like, dude, things aren't going our way.
Dude.
Fuck it. We're trying to play our way. I like to play an aggressive approach. I have a lot of injuries. We're not defending well enough. Like you said, I think owning up to the mistakes you're making or the challenges that are happening or whatever, I think he would get a lot more time and space from the fans, from the press. And I think the fact that he's just like so cold-blooded that he can't back down an inch is going to be what will lead to his early demise, is that, like, he's just so stubborn that he's like, played well. And you keep saying that when you're not playing well, it's like people are going to call you a bluffer. And that does nobody a favor.
I think you're right. It doesn't help. Every manager does it differently. I think Ole was just, smiling at the end, and that way people were mad he was smiling. You hear it on the intro. I mean, Erik ten Hag is kind of like, he's got that Dutch confidence. He said basically, I did the Manu McTominay. It was tactical, and I stand by that. Despite us losing 2 goals that we conceded, McTominay not helping. And didn't really do too much there going forward. And it's like, to just not take the L on that, it's like, you're like you said, it's making it worse. And then it just kicks up the press in England, which we all know the press in England and Manchester United are just like, it's a very adversarial. They're looking for anything. So you got to give them nothing, feed them shit, keep them in the dark. I think that's the ultimate MO. But for Manchester United, tough year.
Tough decade, bro.
Tough finish to the year. Like you said, we went to 2 finals.
This fucking year.
23. But you have to say,
one of them.
Since August, it's been rough.
No, it has.
It's been as rough. Like, it's been very rough. And the one thing that I come back to on Erik ten Hag, and I think he should be the manager till the end of the season. I think the new ownership's going to come, and I actually think that will happen. I think this whole, should we fire Erik ten Hag is a waste. But, should he be evaluated on how he's dealing with the team right now? Yes.
Definitely.
And is he doing a good job at that? My opinion is no. Did I think he did a good job last year? He did amazing and then faded towards the end. Like, the way he was able to get us to turn around after that real bad slump, something about this preseason, that's going to come out when this season's over.
I know. Something happened.
Something happened
Sancho,
in the preseason.
The whole Sancho thing. It's all messy.
And then when the Wolves game kicked off, I bet you this team was fed up with something. There was a row. There was something going on internally, because that game, I've never seen a team start the season and look that horrible, especially when all we heard was fitness. I remember with Ole, it was like, oh, we weren't fit enough this year. That's why we kind of tailed off. We're going to be fitter next year, and we were worse. Anytime a manager's talking about fitness,
yeah, you're screwed.
In the offseason, it's just
over, bro.
Stuff like that doesn't make sense. And so something's going to come out, and,
might have been the sale, might have been the transfers, it might have been the exile of De Gea, it might have been a million things.
Exactly, yeah. And you know what?
Could have been all the things of above. It just and there's also a lot of bluffers.
Here's the 10,000 foot.
Bro. There's still a lot of bluffers in this squad.
If you look at it, 10,000 foot view, he overachieved last year, but we brought him in because of the football he played at Ajax. And we wanted him to play that football at Manchester United, and we saw it last season. That Barcelona game was one of the best games I've watched as a Manchester United fan. Exhilarating, toe-to-toe, edge of your seat, great performance. That's what you want to be playing. Barcelona, one of the best teams in Europe, scoring against them. Unbelievable, right? And then now you look at where we're at. And it's like, it's not that, right? And it's not getting better. And it's going in one way. And guess what? If he can turn around, and him saying he can't play that way or doesn't want to play that way, what the hell is that about? Like when they're asking, like, why aren't you playing like the way that you did at Ajax? And he's like, we can't play that way, or blaming the players. It's just, well, then what do we need to do? And I just feel like when you're hired to do a job because you did it a certain way, like that's what you should be evaluated on. And that's what any manager should be evaluated on. And this isn't the football he played at Ajax. And, you know, if he's trying to shine up a turd, we should call him on it. But like I said, he should be given this season, but it's not looking great.
You said it, bro. You said it, sir. I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think it makes no sense to make a move until the summer because we've talked about this before. It's like there's only bums available right now. All the managers that are available right now, you do not want, because as much as Erik ten Hag is blowing it, like absolutely blowing all the goodwill that he built over the previous season, like anyone hanging around the hoop right now is way worse, and I guarantee you that. And actually, it'll be even worse because they won't just give him 6 months; they'll give him like 2-year deal, and then they'll have a blip up when these players come back from injury, and all of a sudden we'll be stuck with Graham fucking Potter for 3 years, meandering around. So,
but
remember how good it was last year. I don't know. I didn't watch Ajax, so I don't know Erik ten Hag's Ajax. All I know is Erik ten Hag this year versus last year. And last year we played a way of football that I enjoyed watching, that had a style that was fun and entertaining and got us results. And this season feels like a total deviation from that.
I would agree with you I would agree with you. I think if you really got the microscope out, and you would say that post the final EFL final win, there was a drop down. It trailed off like slowly, not like we are now. But yeah, Wout coming in,
we still finished in third. We wouldn't have been able to finish in third if we had finished. But there was a drop down. I agree. From the highs of February when we beat Barca, we beat City, we beat Newcastle in the final, and then we got smoked by Newcastle
Sevilla,
in March.
Like the Sevilla just coming out, just like stomping us.
The FA Cup final, that was embarrassing.
And the FA Cup final, finishing off the season in a bad way. Again, another move, came out super attacking, got scored on in the first 20 seconds, and could never get going. And that's that. We ended that game, and that's where we're at to this day. And it's kind of this crazy story, but as fans, it's important to think of the trajectory, why we are here, how did we get here. And I think there's gonna be a lot that comes out afterwards. I think, you know, if Dutch guys are consistent, I think he's going to be talking shit about Manchester United for a long time to come. But so let's get into the news. United in the news.
Nobody talks about shit as Louis Van Gaal. I'll tell you that. You can't beat Louis Van Gaal.
Hoofball Fellaini, like that would talk about that was great. It worked. That's the problem. Is it worked?
It barely worked. We finished sixth.
How many headers?
It's been a decade.
No, I know.
Fellaini was the man. Actually, Fellaini was.
But those Fellaini goals with him doing the thumb on the back of the shirt,
the
like
celebration, like the lasso,
the throw and the lasso. Like let's go.
He was awesome. I take Fellaini back right now.
No, just like it was like okay, 80th minute, get him on. Let's go.
Let's go.
I wish we had that. Like hey, get him on. Like
give me a Fellaini.
And that made no sense when we had Wout Weghorst playing him at 10. Like why don't we go back to the Fellaini strat?
He couldn't fucking head the ball. I never met a guy who was that tall couldn't head the ball. Can you believe it?
Let's get into this. Contract extensions. Manchester United have activated option to extend Victor Lindelof contract. 29-year-old Sweden captain. His terms were set to expire end of the current year, but now run until 2025. Look, this is kind of treading water. New owners coming in. This is cheap, right? Lindelof, you look at Johnny Evans in the back line, you know, love Johnny, fan of the pod, met him in Dubai, but you got to get Lindelof on the extension, just give you time, give you breathing room to make these moves. But again, Lindelof, not good enough, shouldn't be at United. That's my opinion, but we need some stopgap guys to get us through this transition. He will be a part of it.
Can't believe he's 29. Like you said, probably a player that should have left a couple years ago. Yeah, at this point, you're just punting. You're just hoping to get a little bit of value if you do end up successfully selling them in the summer, which you should aim to do, right? Because Kambuala is coming up, and let's be honest, Victor Lindelof isn't the profile we need at this club going forward. So what would you get from him, sir? Probably like if you're lucky, you get like a Telles or a Fred type valuation, like €8 million.
You'll get nothing from him, and he'll run down his contract. That's literally.
You don't think you'll be able to sell him next summer?
No.
You could probably sell him for like £8 million.
You have to sell him this summer because of his contract.
That's what I meant.
Also, he
summer
only has
24.
He also has 1 year, and then he's already at a discounted level.
Yeah, but we paid $60 million for Mason Mount on his last year of his contract. So come on, we set the market. We're the market makers, Manchester United.
Well, Mason Mount, yeah, exactly. I'm a big Mount fan. Don't know about the Mount move, and I don't know about the Mount valuation. I thought we got hosed on that.
That's what we do, bro.
We get hosed. Speaking of getting hosed, Barcelona £40 million move for Man United exile Mason Greenwood. I thought he didn't play at Manchester United anymore, but apparently
he's on loan.
Why would you loan him? You should just cancel his contract. Like if you decide this big hubbub decision, it should have been just pay out his contract, get him out of the club. You have to sell him. You have to get rid of him. Get anything you can for him. You got to get him off the books. Like Mason Greenwood, what could have been? We all know why it isn't. And if Barcelona want to deal with that, they can pay us $60 million.
No, I mean, I'm including this because this is getting talked about quite a bit in the Manchester United metaverse, if you will. So he's doing well at Getafe. He's scoring goals. He's assisting. I mean, we know what kind of player he is, and he's exactly that type of player in Spain. And I 100% agree. I mean, this was always the move. You got to sell him. You never bring him back. And hopefully we can get some money to start the Ratcliffe rebuild because there's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of wood to chop. And we're going to have to get every dollar out of this bunch of bluffers that are lined up on the sidelines because, woof, there's a lot of wood to chop, sir.
This next article, I'm amused you put this in here. Manchester United's Andre Onana requests delay on AFCON call for the Cameroon FA, an attempt to delay his release so he can play more for Manchester United. Essentially, they start by playing the Ivory Coast on January 13th. So, his last game could be Wigan. Again, question from the manager. Onana played very poorly, and he didn't drop him to get Bayindir some minutes. I feel like that was a really good time to be like, hey, Onana, you kind of take a seat, flip the card over. How's Bayindir? Is he any good? I just feel like now it's Bayindir, you're up every day. If you saw he was bad then, you could have made another move for a keeper in January. Again, I just didn't understand not seeing the guy. Obviously, I'm not on the training pitch. This article is just propaganda. It's Onana's agent's you're leaving. Yeah, let's delay.
Only kind of leaving.
Yeah, this is
a measured left.
This is why you don't sign him in the first place. And that the whole switcheroo here. I really don't like that. The fact that he retired and he wasn't going, and then he U-turned and now is I would have had something in his contract. Obviously, we don't because we're stupid. That if he U-turns, then he's gonna take a pay cut, big pay cut,
big pay cut.
Yeah,
no, it's
more than half his wages would go away if he because you can't have your goalie leave
every year.
You can't
every January when things are heating up.
You
and
can't.
There could be a semifinal for the EFL Cup. And this
you
is the one that
don't do this. You don't buy players who compete in African Cup of Nations. You don't unless it's
Mo Salah,
Mo Salah,
Sané.
Yeah, but you don't buy him because of this. You don't.
No, I mean, remember when we did sign him? Remember this summer? Everyone was asking, is he going to join the African Cup of Nations? And he was
like, no,
part
I'm not.
of the reasons, one of the things that was an asset for him was that he had allegedly retired. Now, you don't see a lot of players in their 20s that don't have huge injury problems retiring if they have a spot. He did. I thought that was kind of a bargaining chip with Manchester United. I will not be unavailable every January because I retired. And then it came a couple months ago that he unretired, and I think that certainly rubbed me the wrong way. That seemed very odd, very bizarre. But I also have to agree with your point, which is, Bayindir, we got to see what he's all about. And now we're going to find out, hopefully against Wigan, and hopefully he doesn't wait and play Onana up to the very last minute and then switcheroo. But that's also
of all
this
the positions,
this manager's very stubborn, and Onana's his guy, and he sticks by all his guys.
Yeah, but of all the positions, you cannot have your goalie leave for a month a year.
I agree. But he said he was retired.
By the way, now, and the reason why you had to put this in the contract, because now when you try to sell him, he's gonna be worth nothing because no team is gonna want their keeper to leave for a month. You think Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich. You think they're? What about City? You think they leave for over a month?
He
a year?
had played for his.
No.
I'm sure. When was the last time he was involved with Cameroon? I'm sure he was involved.
He wasn't. Fell
sometime
out with the
Ajax
manager. He fell out with the manager. But you can't have your goalie leave
as Manchester United. Of course, no.
Yes,
no fucking.
So
way.
it's like this to me is basically like you got to get rid of him.
Not for being shit, but because he's going to AFCON it's
Do you
every
think-
fucking year. It's every year. It's a backbreaker.
You're trying to win 21. You can't have your goalie go missing for 6 weeks to go play an international tournament every single. You're not going to win anything. You know, it's like that's just not. That's not like the
I'm on
goalie of
board.
Manchester United. I believe you can. If you're in the Europa League, you give it to number 2, or EFL Cup. The second goalie can have it. EPL Champions League has to be the first string. Plays every single game.
If we had
dude.
Sergio Romero, it'd be one thing. But we have a backup who don't
That
even
was
know the quality of
yeah,
it.
that was the move. It was
Have like a killer backup. That wasn't an option anyway. It didn't matter.
such a great keeper.
Here we are.
So one of the best United keepers, sir. I loved Romero. He was great. Absolutely great. Great character.
Proper Argentine.
Hannibal not going to AFCON. He's going to go on loan in January. Apparently Sevilla, Lyon, and Freiburg are interested. We'll keep you posted. That's per Fabrizio Romano, sir. Jumping into the fan questions. I'm sure there's some spicy ones. At you, Bosun. Quote, we were hopefully dangerously close to rock bottom. Some of the very worst football I can remember us playing. I'm not sure it makes sense to stick with Eric Ten Hag at this point. He looks completely lost, sir. As far as football, this season, is this some of the worst we've seen?
I do not think so. Not even close. But I think people's memories are very short. But it's awful football. I'm not saying it's not. It's dreadful football. But we have played some truly dreadful football over the last 10 years.
This is Rangnick. This is kind of getting to Rangnick level.
Sir, go back to those highlights, bro.
Regular losing to
Liverpool
Bournemouth
5-0
and
at
Forest.
home. Like it was worse. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, but-
like he's floundering, and he sounds like
No,
a
but that was a
numpty.
sharper decline. But like this is consistently like losing to lower, like losing to Forest and Bournemouth and Bournemouth cooking us at home. It's like this is very bad teams doing it, and then
we
the
lost a very
Champions
bad
League.
team. The other managers wouldn't
and
have gotten fired if we
historical-
weren't losing to very bad. Ole
the
got beat up by
historical-
crap teams. So did Jose.
Yeah, but the Champions League is, I think, that's what kind of separates it. Where we had the worst display in Europe, like ever, and that is also like sitting on top of how bad. If you look at the league, and you see us in 7th. And you see how many losses we have, and then you're like, oh, by the way, we had our worst European campaign ever as well. Yeah, those two together, it's pretty bleak, in my opinion.
So you disagree? I have one position. You have a separate position.
So
it is bad.
worst European campaign ever. That's
Some of the worst football we've ever seen.
yeah, I think.
So you think? Good. That's good. Next
Galatasaray
point.
at home.
Who's next?
I would say Galatasaray at home, and the way we lost that game.
Bro,
Yeah,
watch the Yellow
like-
Submarine, bro. Like,
No,
the game we went to Palace away. Liverpool 5-0 at home, sir.
No,
we
but
played way worse than this.
No, but
way worse.
I know. Liverpool 5-0 sticks out. Liverpool 7-1 last season sticks out.
We played better in the 7-1 by a mile. We played much better. They had like 2.5 XG and they scored 7 fucking goals.
I think most fans would generally not arguing for the positive side of the 7-1. Most fans would say that's bad.
I'm being objective.
So I would say the 7-1. I would say the Galatasaray, to me, that was the worst game this year. Sevilla last year was very bad as well. The Sevilla exit was rough. No fight there. The Ole 5-0. There's been some bad ones, but there's been the shitty FA Cup final too. That was tough. We've had some bad ones, sir. This has been a rough go for United fans. At D_Cole18. Rashford's lack of effort anywhere but left wing is infuriating. He offered nothing up top. Garnacho did all the work to set up his goal. This team does not have the mentality to go on our run. We win and then switch off the next game. We miss Hoyland. Sir Jim Ratcliffe era. Soon, this club and team need rebuilding.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And that's the problem with this team. It's like this manager, he might be a bluffer and he's going to get fired. But I'll tell you what, most of these players have no business being a Manchester United team because this team worked a little harder, ran a little bit more. We wouldn't look this shitty. We wouldn't concede this many goals and score so few. So there's a lot of blame to go around, and that's going to be the harder part. The harder part is going to be to ship players on $350 a week that have 5-year contracts. Manager, he's got, what, 2 years left? You fire him, it costs, what, $25 million? Nothing. Sancho eating that. I don't want to name half the other players that we'd have to get rid of that we're going to have to eat their contracts. It's a long list.
At MHersey5, last time we lost 14 games before New Year's, it was 1930. I am no longer defending anyone on this team. Sack them all and start over. Love the badge. Hate the players, sir. Yep. 14 games in the league on top of our worst European start of all time. So I this is some bad. This is historically bad. Setting some records. At Mike United Mets, quote, reminds me of going to Molyneux to play Wolves under Nuno. First priority has to be the clean sheet because Nuno's going to play for the 1-0. We miss Casemiro desperately. We don't have another midfielder with his awareness to cut out those goals we concede. I agree. And you know what? Who's the other player who might have had a shout to play the role that we need was Fred. And we shipped him, right? McTominay is going to be...
Everybody wanted Fred gone. Come on, man. Let's be honest. On the ball, he's terrible. Couldn't pass the ball. He'd make gaffes all the time. Give it. It's like that's a grass is greener. I'm going to call that one out. He's killing it in Turkey, playing for the best team in a 2-team league. But that's
CDM.
less defendable than the
that
Gea
CDM
move.
role. The you know what I'm saying, like a Casemiro injury, CDM, I would have thought
But he was a box to
but
box
if you
too. He wasn't good at CDM.
if you re-listen to the pods this summer, we were calling for CDM. We were calling for a world-class central defensive midfielder. We signed a central attacking midfielder in Mason Mount. That was kind of a what? That when we did that move, it was like, whoa, I think we need a CDM.
Not that we could have afforded him, but where would this
Yes.
team be with a Rice-type profile?
Exactly.
We still wouldn't be scoring. That's the problem. It still
I
isn't
thought it was
scoring.
center back, CDM, striker. That's what I thought. We went goalkeeper,
Should've been striker first and foremost.
We went goalie number 10 striker, right? And you can see it. Like, we dying with for a center back. We're dying for a CDM. Manu stepping in was great, but at golfpro_X2, Ten Hag can't simply help himself with this McTominay love fest. Unless Manu was hurt, that sub made no sense. And both goals were on McTominay because he can't defend as a central defensive midfielder. I'm nowhere near Ten Hag out, but is he doing it to himself if he gets sacked? What do you make of that sub? Because even then, live watching the game, Alex was like, Manu has to be injured. He's not. And by the way, he also says it was the right call. 100% backs it. What do you? That's kind of Dutch confidence that I wish I had.
I mean, I've already made myself very clear on this. So I agree with you. It made no sense. I think everyone agrees it didn't make any sense. I think even McTominay can defend better than that, though, to be fair. I mean, that was like McTominay's sleepwalking. McTominay's not tracking back. I thought he was supposed to be his boy. He's supposed to cover for his manager, and the manager's not doing himself any favors. We just said that about the presser. It's like if he was a little bit more eating humble pie and saying, I fucked up, or we made a mistake, or we exposed ourselves, I want to play a certain way, it's very aggressive, that leaves ourselves open in the back, he would get more leeway from, like I said, the press, us, and probably some of his players, to be honest.
Behind the scenes, organizationally, how do you think the vibes are at that team right now? It's got to be.
Bro, our club is a mess, bro. Our club is a mess. It's a level 10 disaster. It's like John Murtaugh's a director of football. Richard Arnold was just the CEO, just got fired. It's like you have all these players, like Jadon Sancho isn't showing up for practice, gets paid £350,000 a week. Like the club is Martial's been sick for 3 weeks. It's the club is a fucking mess, bro. It's a disaster. A level 10 dumpster fire.
At Fairway Freddy, 4 score in the big hole where Manu was removed by Ten Hag, and he's okay with this decision. He's on thin ice. Can it be this way until the season ends? I think that if he could just speak a little nicer to the press and be a little more humble and just play a little more defensively sound, he could keep this ship going to the end of the season, and then I think they're going to bring someone else in just kind of clear the air. And I actually hope that he can kind of stop the bleeding, get us back to fight for top 4.
Please,
but we're going to call Dutch confidence is the new term here, because the Dutch confidence is saying, nope, don't change a thing. And by the way, fuck the press. McTominay is the best guy, but you don't anyone.
There's a way to do it.
You don't play that game with the press. You just say, in hindsight, I was going for the game. Maybe we got too aggressive, and I should have kept a lid on it. or something. You got to give them
No,
something.
the whole
It's just
we played great, but we conceded
the
three.
Villa first. By the way, I disagree with you on the Villa first half. That was a great first half. That was a great first half.
That's even
Fuck
different.
you.
That's even different. We played great, but we conceded 2 goals. It's a hard curveball to swing.
Respect, man. Respect, man.
All right, last tweet here at Country Esquire. Who has a tougher job tonight? You guys having to record a pod or Ten Hag having to justify that McTominay for menu change? I don't envy any of you. It's the holidays, Alex. Give the guys to the Excuse Factory a couple of days off.
Excuse Factory has been off all holidays.
You say they're off, but they're pumping.
No, they're not. It's like I ain't got no gas left, bro. We out of commission. We've been on protest even before the holidays. They were overworking us in the little elf farm. This team is a bit of a mess.
Sir, we haven't really hit our stride since we got that Adidas contract. Maybe that's the issue. Maybe we need to get Nike back in the house.
I think there's a lot of
jump
issues.
Man, baby.
I think there's a lot of issues. Jean-Claude Blanc. I want to see what you got to do. I want to see that marketing degree flexing.
Imagine MJ in the stands, let's go.
Yeah, we got to be good first. We got to be good first. We need they want to watch winners. They want winners.
Come on, MJ, let's go. Look, that's it. That's the podcast. Appreciate everybody. Hope you have a happy new year. This will be the last podcast of 2023. Over 500 in the books. You guys are the best. The America Devils community. We couldn't do a pod about this atrocious team for as long as we've done it without the support. We really appreciate everyone. Thank you so much for listening and supporting, fan content. We're a little rough around the edges, but we just want to say we appreciate you and hope everyone has a good holiday, a good New Year's.
We appreciate the America Red Devil community. It has been a season. It has been a 2023 of ups and downs. But we do appreciate all of you who listen week in, week out. We couldn't do it without you. We hope you have a happy and healthy end to your year. Let's talk about downloads. Appreciate our top 10 cities.
Cities, baby.
Last 7 days. Probably not too dissimilar for the last 364 days. Number 1, how you doing? How you doing? Dublin, Ireland. Chicago, Illinois. New York. Los Angeles, California. Houston, Texas. Oslo, Norway. San Francisco, California. Melbourne, Australia, and last but not least, Dallas, Texas. Appreciate all the American Devils listening week in, week out. God damn, it's been a bad couple of months. But hey, 24 is right around the corner. We're going to be with you for the good, the bad, and the ugly. Manchester United fans, never die.
Hey, we love this club.